Welcome to France 2022, the campaign, our daily show covering the presidential election. Well, in today's campaign trail, we've had candidates wooing farmers and laying out their plans to improve the livelihoods of farmers and making France more self-sufficient. Plus, we've had the leader of a hunting lobby saying that he'll vote for President Macron because he says Macron will keep hunting as free and flexible as possible. Here's a summary of the day's main events with France 24's Shirley Sipon.
Every day comes with its share of promises. Today was about farming. Once a leading nation in the field, modern-day France is no longer a place where farmers thrive. Fabien Roussel wants to turn all that around, making sure the country has at least 500,000 farmers.
Cela suppose d'installer entre 20 à 25 000 agriculteurs, agricultrices par an. C'est un effort gigantesque quand nous n'en installons aujourd'hui que la moitié.
Hard-right candidates promise to fight for farmers' security wherever it may come from.
Les campagnes sont aujourd'hui victimes, en grande majorité, d'une délinquance inadmissible, qui est une délinquance itinérante, bien souvent, il faut bien le dire, d'origine étrangère.
Je souhaite que nous arrêtions de signer des accords de libre-échange avec le monde entier. Une concurrence déloyale, impossible à vivre pour vous.
Former shepherd Jean Lassalle bonded once again with the audience and its struggles.
Les agriculteurs ne sont pas des ennemis. Et c'est pas eux qui polluent. C'est pas eux qui réchauffent la planète. Et au moins, ils ne mentent pas comme nous, les politiques.
Several candidates had already pleaded their case with the hunters' lobby. President Macron was too busy, but in the end he got its support. Candidates denouncing lobbies criticized the move.
Monsieur Schrein a le droit d'avoir un avis, mais vous savez qu'il a table ouverte à l'Élysée depuis des années. C'est choquant. C'est choquant que les lobbies aient trouvé une telle place pendant le quinquennat Macron.
Manifestement, le président des chasseurs se transforme un peu en rabatteur de voix, là. Hein, c'est le rabatteur de voix pour Emmanuel Macron. Moi, je ne sais pas ce qu'en pensent les chasseurs. Hein. Est-ce qu'ils vont apprécier d'être transformés en gibier électoral?
That is all from the campaign trail. Let's meet again tomorrow.
Okay, so a busy 24 hours. Let's take a look at how the candidates are faring in the polls. Here's the latest poll put together by the IFOP Fiducial. And in the first round, this shows Emmanuel Macron still leader of the pack with 28%. He's up by half of a percentage point. Marine Le Pen just over the 21% mark, also up by half a percentage point. Jean-Luc Mélenchon continuing to rise, around 15% now, but the loser seems to be Valérie Pécresse, down fractionally to just over, 10.5%. Éric Zemmour, about the same. He's unchanged. That's the first round. So in a second round, it most likely would be Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen facing it off for the second time. And that's how things would stand. And according to this latest poll, it seems that President Macron is up half a percentage point at the expense of Marine Le Pen. But that's not far apart. They're 6 percentage points apart. And it's worth remembering that in 2017, Macron was more like 8 percentage points ahead of Le Pen. Well, an increasing number of would-be French voters are turning their backs on politics and the political system. Will the abstention rate reach record high levels once again? Well, 3 voters out of 10 say they plan to skip April's vote. To find out why and what's being done to curb this phenomenon, a France 24 team went to one Paris suburb to meet some of the people who are adamant they won't be going anywhere near a polling station this spring.
Bonjour monsieur, pour les élections présidentielles, vous comptez aller voter?
Blanked by another citizen, this communist campaigner carries on undeterred in a bid to boost voter turnout ahead of April's election.
It's a real scourge, unfortunately. Democracy is suffering. People in working-class districts are disappointed and they no longer believe in it.
Wherever she goes in this disadvantaged area just outside Paris, Aurélie faces deeply disillusioned citizens.
They make big promises, speak nicely, and then it doesn't go anywhere.
I don't trust anyone. There isn't one of the candidates who can represent me.
Voter apathy has been on the rise for years now, exacerbated by the blurring of the traditional left-right divide that used to motivate citizens, a worrying sign of a growing crisis in French democracy.
Distrust in institutions is especially high in France compared to neighboring countries. But it's not just political factors, there are social demographic ones as well. Young voters, for example, vote a lot less than older people do. The working class also vote a lot less.
In order to bring voters back to the ballot box, especially youngsters, apps like Elise hope to make politics fun again. These students spawned 25 candidate proposals.
Instaurer le droit de vote à 16 ans. Non.
Ah, je dirais non.
Non, on est d'accord.
Just like on a dating app, they swipe right if they like them, left if they don't. A decision-making app that claims to be completely apolitical.
The aim is to help all young people to get interested in the election, understand the manifestos better, help them choose. We're neutral, independent.
Even the dating app giant Tinder has launched a campaign to help match young people with a vote, hoping that this time around, French people will not ghost the election.
Okay, well, time now for our weekly segment, which we've called the French presidential election for dummies. And we try to go through some of the particularities of the French election, which at times might raise a few eyebrows abroad. To help us go through all of these particularities, Florence Villeminot is here with me. Now, today, Florence, we're talking about campaign financing, very highly regulated here in France. And let's start by looking at how much candidates are actually allowed to spend.
Well, running for president is very expensive. You have to zigzag across the country, hire a team, organize pricey campaign rallies. It really adds up quickly. We're very far from the dizzying billions that are spent, say, on the race to the White House. Why is that? Well, because there are strictly enforced spending caps here in France. Let's take a look at these spending caps. In round one, candidates can't spend more than 16.8 million euros each. So that's for round one. And those who make it to round two can't spend over 22.5 million euros. Spending over these ceilings is illegal in France. Now, why are there these spending caps that you can see here? They're very precise, as you can see. It's all in the name of égalité, the equal opportunity for candidates. The idea is for smaller candidates not to be completely crushed by the financial power, if you will, of bigger candidates.
Okay, so the idea is to make it fairer by not allowing anyone to splurge too much. Now, there's an incentive, isn't there, for people to stay within the limits. And if people do that, the state reimburses the candidate's expenditure.
Absolutely. How much they get back from the state depends on their score in the presidential election. And the magic number is 5%, as you can see it here. Less than 5% of the votes, and they'll only get back about 800,000 euros. Those who make the 5% cut, well, they get up to 8 million euros. So you can see there's quite a big difference there. Getting less than 5% is not only kind of a slap in the face for a candidate, it can also cost them a lot of money. The system is meant to grant politicians a certain amount of independence. They won't be enslaved to, special interest groups or super PACs, for instance, like in the United States. But candidates don't get all of their money from the state. They can also seek out private funds. But here again, it's highly regulated in France. For instance, donations from individuals can't be above 4,600 euros per person. Now, big candidates often rely on contributions from their political party. As for smaller candidates, they often rely on an army of volunteers. Just listen to right-wing candidate Nicolas Dupont-Aignan. This was when he was running for the first time back in 2012.
Sans bénévoles, on ne pourrait pas fonctionner parce qu'on n'a pas les moyens financiers des autres. Donc, vous savez, quand on a moins d'argent, on est souvent beaucoup plus malin. Et quand on n'a pas d'argent, on a des idées.
Okay, so that was then. And of course, after the election has been held, there is a careful vetting of just how much the candidates spent. And if everything was done correctly, the reimbursement process begins, at least part of it.
Absolutely. There's a special commission in charge of combing through the finances of the campaign for each candidate. And this commission has a team of investigators who meticulously go through each candidate's spending. And after each election, there are some pretty interesting expenses that are refused. 2017, for instance, had some great gems. You can see Marine Le Pen there. Well, the commission refused to pay her back 111 euros for bug spray following a visit to French Guyana. Now, it said that the expense was too far from the reimbursement criteria, which is that you spent the money to get the vote from French citizens. She says, well, it was important for her image not to be covered in bug bites. They didn't really buy that, so she had to pay that money back. Emmanuel Macron, you can see him here. Well, he was refused the reimbursement for 11,656 euros for lessons from a voice coach, as well as personal security. So the commission said that all this was personal expenses, and it's not up to taxpayers to pay candidates back for their personal expenses, because after all, that's where that money's coming from French taxpayers.
That bug spray has got me thinking. Anyway, thank you very much indeed. Florence Villeminot, thank you for this week's edition of the Campaign for Dummies. That's it from us. More of the same tomorrow.